How much do you want to bet you've never thought to yourself that the most valuable real estate in the future may not even be on this planet? Am I wrong? But even if I am, to begin on the right foot, let's break it down. Universe, galaxy, solar systems, and I know you know what's coming next. Planets. The fact I'm sorry to break to you is that according to science, Earth won't last as long as Mars will. That's where space exploration and its associated industry come into play. Probing space, along with its business, have been going back for a long time now. Does the quote, "That's one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind" ring a bell? Yep, the moon landing. So imagine how long ago that was. But to dive deeper in, discovering the universe, or at least our solar system, can contribute to economic growth as well as promoting global collaboration. The dilemma with this is how it can be detrimental to the environment and how it is problematic to astronauts' health. Recently, SpaceX, the company trying to go to Mars, launched the Starship, which several news outlets reported on it from different perspectives on how it impacts our domain. Furthermore, specs is a must-have, so the specs that fits best here is science. From a scientific stance, space exploration and its associated industry will help society by impulsing it to reach that final goal of going to Mars, thriving, and not only that, but uncover the mysteries of the infinity and beyond. Another specs would be environment. Environmentally speaking, rocket ship emissions can be harmful to our current planet's well-being. Having thoroughly gone over space exploration and its associated industry, the question still remains: to what extent has space exploration benefited humankind?
Being told you're not allowed to go to school, or that you cannot share your opinion, or that you do not have the same rights as someone else because of your race and gender. That's why human rights matter. Human rights are the basic rights and freedoms that every person is born with. They are universal, which means they apply to everyone no matter the nationality, race, religion, or gender. They are also inalienable, which means they cannot be taken away. Every person is equally entitled to these rights simply because they're human. One important benefit of human rights is equality. Since rights belong to everyone, no one should be treated as more important than someone else. Human rights protect people from discrimination and unfair treatment. They give individuals the freedom to speak their minds, practice their beliefs, and live their lives the way they choose, as long as they follow the law. However, there are also challenges. Not all cultures agree on the same values or rights, which can cause disagreements between traditions and universal standards. Also, some rights like housing, healthcare, and education can be expensive to provide. Poorer countries may struggle to guarantee these rights, which can create inequality between nations. From a social perspective, human rights help people live together peacefully. For example, freedom of speech allows people to express their opinions and share their ideas. When people are allowed to speak openly, society can grow and improve. Without these rights, discrimination and conflict are more likely to happen. From a political perspective, human rights are closely connected to laws and government action. Governments are responsible for protecting rights such as safety, voting, education, and freedom. If a government fails to protect these rights, people may experience oppression or injustice. That's why many countries include human rights in their constitution. One important example of human rights is the right to education. This means that all children and adults should have access to learning. Education helps people build skills, get jobs, and improve their daily lives. And in conclusion, human rights are essential because they protect our freedom, equality, and dignity. Even though there are challenges in protecting them worldwide, human rights remains one of the most important foundations of a fair and just society.
Have forests ever really been thought about as more than just a group of trees? Deforestation is the clearing of large areas of forest so the land can be used for farming, raising animals, building homes, or collecting wood. It happens mainly because populations are growing and there is a greater demand for food, space, and resources. Economically speaking, it can seem beneficial at first. Clearing forests creates land for agriculture, helping produce food and generate income. Logging also provides wood for construction and creating jobs, which can support economic growth in some countries. However, forests are not just empty lands, they are ecosystems that support life in many ways. According to Source One, an article from National Geographic, About 80% of Earth's land animals and plants live in forests. When forests are destroyed, animals lose their habitats and many species struggle to survive. Economically speaking, deforestation also worsens climate change. Trees absorb carbon dioxide and help regulate temperature. When they are cut down or burned, greenhouse gases increase and global warming becomes more severe. Socially speaking, the effects reach communities as well. According to Source 2, the World Wildlife Fund explains that without trees to hold soil in place, erosion can occur, and fertile land can wash into rivers, damaging farms and water supplies. According to Source 3, millions of people depend on forests for food, shelter, and income. So when forests disappear, communities can lose jobs and stability. Deforestation highlights the tension between economic growth and environmental protection. While it may bring short-term benefits, the long-term consequences are much harder to reverse. If forests continue to disappear at this pace, what kind of future will be left behind?
Imagine going into a place where people are being punished for their crimes, but inside, some are learning to become better versions of themselves, while others say the system just recycles the same behavior. That's prison and rehabilitation. A prison is a secure facility where people who have been convicted of crimes are sent to serve a sentence as punishment to protect society. Rehabilitation is the process of helping someone change their behavior and improve themselves, especially after committing a crime, so they can successfully return to society and not reoffend. Education in prison helps people succeed when they get out. In support, researchers at Middle Tennessee State University states participating in prison education programs decreases the likelihood of recidivism by 14.8%, increases the likelihood of employment by 6.9%, and increases quarterly wages for employed ex-offenders. This quote shows that rehabilitation doesn't sound good just in theory. Measurable benefits exist. Fewer repeat crimes and better job prospects means people are more likely to rebuild their lives rather than return to prison. Similarly, rehabilitation isn't enough if it stops when someone walks out the prison door. For true change, support must continue into the community. According to NPR, people with criminal records find themselves deprived of certain rights and stripped of opportunities like housing, education, employment, social services, etc. All of this increases the likelihood of returning to criminal activity. This supports the pro side because it highlights that rehabilitation can only work if prison systems also prepare for life after release. Without these supports, recidivism stays high. But not all rehabilitation succeeds. That's where critics raise serious concerns. Programs aren't reaching the people who need them and many go unused. Researchers from Courthouse News concluded corrections officials did not meet the rehabilitation needs for 62% of the inmates released during 2017 through 18. This quote shows that even well-funded rehabilitation efforts can fail if they're not implemented correctly, meaning fewer people actually benefit, presenting that recidivism rates remained unchanged despite rehabilitation spending. Bet you think I forgot about specs. From a social perspective, rehabilitation helps people reintegrate into society after incarceration or maybe addiction. From a political standpoint, laws affect access to rehab services and prison rules. Ultimately, prisons should focus more on rehabilitation than punishment. Discuss.
Think of how many things in your daily life come from other countries. Your phone, your shoes, even the food you eat. The world today is more connected than ever before, and that connection is called globalization. Globalization describes the growing interdependence of world economies, cultures, and populations brought by cross-border trade in goods and services. One major benefit of globalization is the economic growth. For example, a report from the Environmental Defense Fund explains how electrifying ports in Florida helps strengthen global competitiveness. By modernizing ports, Florida can trade more efficiently with other countries, attract international business, and create jobs. From an economic perspective, globalization boosts global trade and opens new markets for companies to expand. However, globalization can also hurt local workers. According to the research from the J.P. Morgan Chase Institute, tariffs paid by mid-sized U.S. firms tripled last year. When the international trade tensions increase, companies face higher costs, which can then lead to layoffs or rising prices. This shows that, economically speaking, globalization can create instability for smaller businesses and workers who cannot compete globally. On an international level, globalization affects the global economy as well. According to NPR, trade tensions like tariffs imposed by major economies such as the United States can slow worldwide economic growth. This shows that the decisions made in one country can have a ripple effect across the globe, impacting businesses and workers everywhere. From a cultural perspective, globalization increases cultural exchange. People are exposed to new foods, music, fashion, and ideas from around the world, which promotes diversity and understanding. But at the same time, global brands and trends can overpower local traditions, decreasing cultural uniqueness and identity. Overall, globalization creates economic opportunities and cultural connections, but it also brings economic pressure and cultural loss. Now I have a question for you. What impact does unrestricted importing and exporting of goods and services have on your country?
Education. Education shapes how people learn, develop skills, and prepare for life. It influences critical thinking, problem solving, and social growth, making it essential for personal and societal success. Education also reflects culture and adapts to technology, showing how society values learning. Education is the process of learning knowledge and skills that help people think critical, communicate, and grow personally and socially. One major challenge in education is equal access. Disabled students often struggle to receive the support they are promised in schools. This reflects a political and social stance because it focuses on equality and access within public education systems. Technology is also reshaping education in unexpected ways. Artificial intelligence is increasingly used to support learning, offering personalized lessons and tracking progress. However, it also raises anxiety among students and teachers who fear being monitored or replaced by machines. This reflects an economical and social stance because it shows how technology impacts schools and students. Another approach to improving education focuses on teacher training programs. Teachers for America accelerates new teachers into classrooms, aiming to fill gaps in under-resourced schools. While critics worry that fast training can leave teachers underprepared, researchers show it can improve short-term student performance and bring motivated educators to schools in need. These examples show education's benefits and challenges, showing how students learn and grow. Education helps students think, solve problems, and grow in their own ways. It gives teachers support and brings new ideas into classrooms with programs like Teach for America and technology. But not everyone gets the same opportunities, and sometimes rules or AI just cannot cover every need. Still, education is powerful, shaping minds and communities in ways we can all feel.
Having the ability to keep your information private is a great thing to have, right? I mean, it allows sensitive information to be kept private to prevent hackers to gain access to data. Surveillance is used to monitor online activities, but what happens when the data is exposed? So, what is surveillance and privacy? Well, surveillance is a kept close watch over someone or something. On the other hand, privacy is a right to deny unwanted intrusion from your personal information. So, how do the two correlate? Well, in the article presented by BBC News, Court told police facial recognition needs limits. It elaborates how police are trying to use biometric data from cameras to track down criminals. However, Lord Justice Holgate implies that it'll be unlawful because it could harm people's privacy. From a social perspective, it is rather safer for sensitive information to be kept protected. However, using surveillances could be assured by the safety of the public by tracking down criminals in a safe, regulated way. In the article introduced by MDPI, it states how law enforcement agencies created various methods to track down criminals, such as the SARE model, which created solutions on ways to capture down criminals efficiently without disrupting other people. From a technological stance, it is constantly evolving to help fight crime and protect the people's privacy from being published. Also, in a CNN podcast, a connection is going around about ICE agents using facial recognition software called Mobile 40 to identify people and their immigration status. This app works by an ICE agent taking a picture on their government-issued phone. This indicates that it'll risk the safety of society if it gets out of control. All in all, after learning what surveillance and privacy is and how they both work together, the question still remains. People who obey the law have nothing to fear from surveillance. To what extent do you agree? Visual arts. Visual art shapes how people think, express ideas, and understand the world around them. They influence creativity, communication, and emotional development in many areas of society, making them an essential part of modern life. They also reflect culture and inspire new ways of seeing life. Visual art is a form of creative expression that focuses on sight spanning both two-dimensional and three-dimensional work, such as painting, sculpture, photography, film, and design. Article 1. The Nation's report card shows mixed results in visual art, but it also highlights students' creativity and visual thinking skills. Visual arts programs help students build imagination, problem-solving skills, and confidence in expressing ideas. The findings support an importance of keeping strong art programs in schools. Beyond education, visual arts are changing through technology. China's dancing robots, developed by Uptech Robotics, create synchronized visual performances. While this expands creativity, automation may replace human performers. This reflects an economic and social stance because it connects industry's growth with society-changing views of creativity. Researchers also study how visual art affects people emotionally. Physiological studies try to measure how visual arts influence emotions and thinking. However, people respond to arts differently, making it hard to fully explain or standardize. This reflects a social stance because it looks at how individuals experience visual arts in society. Visual arts help spark creativity, inspire innovation, allowing people to express culture and grow personally. But unfortunately, not everyone has equal access to arts education, and sometimes technology or research cannot fully show how arts make people feel. Even when hard to measure, visual arts remains a powerful force shaping the future in ways everyone can see and feel.
Imagine leaving your home and moving somewhere completely new to start a better life. Many people around the world do this every year. This movement is called migration. Migration is when people move to another place for a long time or even permanently. They might move to a different city, state, or country. Some people move because they want better jobs, education, or opportunities. This is called voluntary migration. Other people are forced to move because of war, violence, poverty, or even natural disasters. This is called forced migration. There are several pros of migration. One big benefit is economic growth. Migrants work, earn money, and pay taxes, which helps the economy. Migration also helps countries that have older people and young workers. Younger migrants can fill jobs and support the workforce. Another pro is cultural diversity. Migration brings in new foods, languages, traditions, and even ideas. This makes communities more diverse and even interesting. Migrants also fill important jobs like healthcare, farming, constructions, and many service jobs. There are some cons. When people move to one area, housing can become more expensive because people need places to live. There are more competition for certain jobs, schools, hospitals, and public health care can become crowded. Languages and differences can make it harder for some people to adjust, and cultural differences can sometimes cause misunderstanding. From an economic point of view, research shows that migration often helps economy over time. Even though some people online say the opposite, studies usually show that migrants work and contribute to the economy. From a social media point of view, the internet plays a big role in migration today. People use social media to stay connected with family and find jobs. Governments use online systems for documents and visas. However, social media can also spread false information. Some posts can share fake facts or exaggerate some problems. That's why it's important to check reliable sources. In conclusion, migration has both positive and negative effects. It can help the economy grow and bring more diversity into it.
These three pillars shape how we live, how we stay healthy, and how we're supported by society. Diet, health education, and provision of healthcare. Like Barack Obama said, a nation that is not healthy cannot be prosperous. First, diet is a course of food which one restricts oneself to lose weight or for medical reasons. Health education refers to learning information and skills to improve health, while provision of healthcare is the organization of medical services to individuals. Provision of healthcare is beneficial because access to doctors and nutrition guidance help reduce obesity, prevent disease, and increase life expectancy. This article by the National Library of Medicine demonstrates the support of the goal of universal health coverage by ensuring that people receive essential services regardless of their ability to pay. When communities invest in health education, it is instrumental as people learn how to maintain a balanced diet and prevent illnesses, which lowers long-term healthcare problems. An article by BBC News illustrates how when teaching individuals about the right foods to eat, drugs aren't really necessary. But since people eat ultra-processed calories, it makes individuals more sick and increases the risk of diseases. However, a major drawback is that many low-income families can't afford healthy foods, making it difficult for them to maintain a good diet even if healthcare services are available. WLRN mentions the story of a mother who tries to give her son healthy food, but she simply can't because of how expensive it is. She elaborates on the price comparison of regular meat versus leaner cuts and fresh fruits. From a scientific perspective, the provision of healthcare is beneficial because it provides people with access to doctors and other medical professionals who can guide these individuals into a healthier lifestyle. For example, regular checkups from doctors can help identify health risks early on. When individuals receive this support, they are most likely to adapt habits that improve their overall life. On the other hand, from an economic stance, realistically, many low-income families can't afford healthy foods that other people can buy. Families on a tight budget often prioritize cheaper, processed foods to stretch their money. Addressing this issue has to be coordinated wisely so that these corporates can make nutritious food more affordable and accessible for all communities. So now the question remains, what issues do some countries face in achieving and maintaining an adequate food supply?
Imagine walking into a museum or turning on your favorite TV show only to find scenes cut, lyrics muted, or artwork removed. That's censorship in the media of arts. Censorship is a restriction of content seen as harmful or inappropriate. Some believe it protects society, while others argue it limits creativity and freedom. Officials criticize certain Smithsonian's institution artworks as it is objectable, arguing museums should promote more unified historical narratives. Supporters claim this type of censorship protects national values and social stability. Furthermore, coverage from BBC discusses efforts to bypass strict censorship laws by launching a Tor mirror site so people can access independent news. This highlights the balance between government regulation and the public's right to information. On the other hand, a college-level essay strongly presents an argument regarding arts and film. The essay defines censorship as supervision and control of information and ideas for the purpose of suppressing parts thought to be objectable. This definition supports a negative reasoning because it shows censorship as an act of control rather than protection. Furthermore, the essay argues that artist expression is essential in a democratic society. When arts are restricted, creativity and diverse viewpoints are limited. This ties censorship to the potential violation of freedom of speech and individual rights. The debate over censorship in the media of arts remains difficult. While some may say it emphasizes protection, unity, and social responsibilities, others say it stresses freedom, creativity, and expression. The question we are left with today is, should art be carefully regulated for the sake of society, or should it remain completely free, even when it challenges us?
When we think about transport, travel, and tourism, we usually imagine vacations, airports, and exploring new places. But it actually refers to the movement of people and goods locally and internationally for work or leisure, along with the industry that supports those activities. Economically, tourism plays a major role in many countries. According to Source 1 from the United Nations World Tourism Organization, tourism supports about 1 in 10 jobs worldwide. When tourists travel, they spend money on hotels, food, transportation, shopping, and attractions. This creates employment, increases income, and helps small and local businesses grow. In some developing countries, tourism is one of the main sources of national income and economic growth. Socially, travel also has positive effects. It allows people to experience different cultures, traditions, and lifestyles. This can reduce stereotypes and encourage better understanding between countries. Travel can also promote education by giving people real-world experiences that they cannot get from textbooks alone. It helps people become more open-minded and globally aware. However, there are negative impacts as well. Environmentally, tourism contributes to climate change. According to Source 2 from the United Nations Environment Program, transportation such as airplanes and cruise ships produce large amounts of greenhouse gases. These emissions increase pollution and damage natural ecosystems. Another issue is over-tourism. Source 3 from National Geographic explains that when too many tourists visit the same destination, it can lead to overcrowding, traffic congestion, rising living costs, and pressure on local services. This can reduce the quality of life for residents and even damage the tourist experience itself. Transport, travel, and tourism clearly bring both benefits and challenges. While it strengthens economies and connects cultures, it can also harm communities and the environment if not managed properly. So, how can we continue exploring the world while still protecting it for future generations?
Have you ever watched something on your device when all of a sudden a commercial pops up to promote products? This is called advertisement. Advertisement is a public notice of or informing the public of the general interest. In other words, advertisements could be beneficial as it could raise awareness on concerns to the people and how to find alternate ways to go about this. In an article titled Trump's Administration to Explore Limits on Advertising Unhealthy Food for Kids presented by Food Dive, it elaborates how Congress wants to limit the visibility of detrimental foods which are sold due to influencers. If changed, it could leave a huge impact on kids eating better foods. From a social standpoint, it allows children to have improved nutritional intake and reduce obesity rates. Also, raising awareness on repetitive issues could gain interest and prevent harm to occur. In city news everywhere, an ad posted around Ottawa, Canada, used graphic road safety advertisements to encourage people not to jaywalk. Since that area showed a significant amount of accidents, they decided to create ads to change the outcome. As a result, it decreased the amount of incidents in the area while also showing how serious the problem was. From a scientific stance, conducting fear onto society could prevent incidents to occur while also reducing risk. However, these fears could raise concerns and do the opposite of its intended purpose if done incorrectly. In CNN News titled Super Bowl Ads Want You to Stop Worrying and Learn to Love AI, it elaborates how AI could be used to help and understand sympathy, which is displayed in the commercials. However, people fully believe that AI could never comprehend empathy. Overall, advertisements allow people to grow and expand businesses and help both customers and raise awareness towards society. After learning how much advertisement plays a role in society, to what extent do you agree that advertisements are unnecessary into the modern world?
Arts, institutions, and venues. Topic 40. Arts, institutions, and venues are organizations, buildings, or spaces dedicated to the exhibition, preservation, production, and promotion of artistical and cultural heritage. For example, the Perez Art Museum is a venue and an artistical institute. It focuses on the 20th and 21st century international art with a focus on the Americas, located in downtown Miami. Also, as an example, the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. is a world-renowned, free-admission museum on the National Mall dedicated to collecting, preserving, and exhibiting European and American art from the Middle Ages to the present. Finally, the last example is the Louvre Museum in Paris, France. It's the world's largest, featuring the Mona Lisa and also centuries of history. Some benefits of arts, institutions, and venues are cultural preservation and education. Institutes like the British Museum and the Metropolitan Museum, these two museums preserve important artworks and historical objects, helping educate the public about history, culture, and creativity. Support from artists and communities. Venues such as Royal Opera House and Sydney Opera House provide platforms for artists to showcase their work, create jobs, and bring communities together through shared cultural experiences. Though there are good things, there can also be cons. Because of high maintenance costs, large institutes often require significant funding for maintenance, staffing, and exhibitions, which can make ticket prices expensive. Some institutes have been criticized for underrepresenting certain cultures or social groups, and physical venues may not easily be accessible to people with disabilities. For instance, an article published by the Art Museum states about the ongoing challenges for Miami's art community, including cuts to cultural funding, even as Miami thrives as a global art hub, and also Miami art organizations face crisis would lead to a funding collapse. Another article posted by Mid American Arts Alliance talks about how small art groups are bringing more performances and outreach programs to underserved communities. Finally, The Guardian covers the reopening of the expanded Newcastle Art Gallery and its launch exhibition celebrating highlights from its collection. From an environmental stance, the Getting Center uses natural light, sustainable landscaping, and water-efficient systems. Its design reduces energy use while safely preserving artworks. Ultimately, from a social stance, Tate Modern offers workshops and events that engage diverse communities and make art more accessible. May I ask you a question? What would a world without galleries and performance halls look like?
Are you guys done yet? Hey, can you understand what I'm saying? Well, I'm guessing you can due to speaking the same language, right? Since the beginning of time, humans have always needed to communicate simply just to survive. But the obstacle of language is how people from different countries who speak a different language and have different culture comprehend each other. There are many exemplary situations of this daily, such as the word gift. In English, gift means present. In German, it means poison. So imagine telling someone German you have a gift for them. They would panic. That's an actual problem, and there are many other languages that have this trouble too. So when we use language, it can be empowering by expressing thoughts, emotions, and the identity of an individual, as well as it can unify and connecting people, resulting in communities being built. But language can also limit a person's ability to fully express themselves and can also be divisive when misused to spread the hate or create conflict, just like the chisme and rumors that have caused trouble at your school. Continuously, various outlets including WPTV, USLA, and UNESCO have recently reported their different views on how schools are requiring students to learn a second language. Hey, I don't know if you noticed, but I sure did. We're missing specs. The best specs for this topic would be social. Socially speaking, language causes a sense of belonging to individuals. Another spec would be cultural. In a cultural perspective, language is part of a country's heritage, and speaking it would make sure of honoring it and keeping it alive. Having reviewed language so thoroughly, the question persists. Assess the importance of learning a second language.